Have you ever wondered where it all began?
The first airplane that touched the sky. The first telephone that connected voices across the world. The first car that made distance disappear. Or the first light bulb that turned night into day.
At Lumo Origins, we dive deep into the most groundbreaking inventions in human history
and celebrate the brilliant minds who dared to create them. Discover the stories behind the world's greatest firsts.
and meet the pioneers who shaped our future.
New videos every week only on Lumo Origins.
Subscribe now and be inspired by the origins of everything. We truly appreciate your time. Let's begin today's story. Have you ever looked up at the sky and seen a plane soar overhead?
And wondered, who was the first human to fly? Not in a hot air balloon, not in a glider, but in a real, powered, controlled airplane.
Let me take you back to the early 1900s, to the story of two quiet brothers who dared to do what the world thought was impossible. Throughout history, humans have dreamed of flying. From the legends of Icarus to Leonardo da Vinci's sketches, the idea of human flight had haunted imaginations for centuries. But dreams are one thing. Building a machine that actually lifts off the ground with a pilot inside was a whole different challenge. In the late 1800s, many inventors tried. Some crashed, some gave up.
And then came two bicycle mechanics from Dayton, Ohio.
Wilbur and Orville Wright weren't rich. They weren't trained engineers. They didn't have a fancy lab. But what they did have was curiosity, intelligence, and an obsession with understanding how birds fly. They started small, making kites and gliders, testing how wings worked in real wind. They even built their own wind tunnel, using simple materials to study the perfect shape for wings. Every step they took brought them closer to the impossible.
In 1903, after years of tests and failures, the Wright brothers built a machine they called the Flyer.
It had a 40-foot wingspan, a small gasoline engine, and two propellers. They made it out of spruce wood and fabric. But here's what made it special. It had controls. It could steer. It could pitch up and down.
It wasn't just a flying machine.
It was the first real airplane. December 17th, 1903. A cold, windy morning in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. Orville climbs aboard. The Flyer is placed on a small rail track. The engine roars. The propeller spins. And at exactly 10:35 a.m., the machine lifts off the ground
and FLIs for 12 seconds, just 120 feet. But those 12 seconds changed the world forever. It was the first time in history that a heavier-than-air machine carried a person and flew under its own power in full control. Most people didn't believe it at first. Newspapers ignored the story. Some called it a hoax.
But the Wright brothers didn't stop. They kept improving the design, flying farther, faster, higher.
By 1905, their airplane could stay in the air for over half an hour. By 1908, they were flying in public.
Crowds watched in awe. Governments took notice, and the age of aviation had officially begun. Today, every commercial jet, every fighter plane, every spacecraft owes something to that little wooden flyer. The Wright brothers proved that with patience, science, and bold thinking, even the sky is not the limit. They didn't just invent a machine. They opened a new chapter in human history. A chapter where oceans could be crossed in hours. A chapter where humans would one day walk on the moon. So next time you see a plane fly overhead, remember,
it all began with two brothers, a dream, and 12 seconds of flight.
This was the first airplane. This
was the moment we learned to fly.
That small wooden flyer built by two quiet brothers in a bicycle shop changed more than just how we travel. It changed how we think. Suddenly, the sky wasn't the limit. It was the beginning. In just a few years, airplanes went from fragile machines to tools of exploration, to weapons of war, and eventually to the backbone of global travel. In World War I, pilots flew in open cockpits, wearing goggles and scarves, risking their lives in the skies. But those early aviators paved the way for safer, faster, more powerful aircraft. By the 1930s, air travel was no longer a dream. It was a booming industry. Mail crossed oceans. People began flying across continents. The world felt smaller.
And all of it, every jetliner, every space mission, every drone, traces back to that cold December morning in 1903.
The Wright brothers didn't just build a machine. They built momentum. They sparked generations of dreamers. Amelia Earhart, Charles Lindbergh, Neil Armstrong, and millions of engineers, pilots, and explorers.
Their invention didn't stop with the sky. It reached the edge of space, and then beyond. Today, because of them, we send satellites into orbit. We map the Earth from above. We explore other planets. And yes, we can fly from New York to Tokyo in a single day.
But maybe the most powerful thing they left us
Was a mindset that with patience, courage, and vision nothing is impossible.
So as you watch planes in the sky, rockets launching into space, or drones filming the Earth from above, remember, it all started with two brothers, one dream, and 12 seconds of flight. The plane, the phone,
The light bulb.
they didn't just change how we live, they changed how we dream. At Lumo Origins, we honor the first inventors and the questions that started it all. Subscribe and join us
as we tell the stories of how the future was born.
Thank you for watching. See you in the next story.